You called about the noises in your walls, right?
Oh, no, not me.
You sure about that?
Hey there, little guy.
Charlotte! I need you to watch Liam.
Why?
Because he's 6 months old and he eats paper.
Every time I try and connect, she takes 2 steps back.
Night, Ethan. You hungry? Cool. We're gonna call you Sting. Hi, Eric. Could a spider grow twice as big in a couple of hours?
No, that is a physiological impossibility. Sweet Jesus, what the hell happened to it?
Rats.
I don't think a rat's gonna do that.
Spiders only know 2 things. Eat and kill.
What kind of spider are we talking about here? A big one.
A spider bite will paralyze its prey because it likes to feed on living flesh.
It's all my fault.
We have to deal with this together.
It's Sting.
That's your spider! Boom, there you go. That was a trailer for Sting from Well Go USA Entertainment. But it came from across the oceans, Australia to be exact. This is an Australian horror film. And this is going to be a quick and easy interview for y'all. It's a by the numbers 80s style horror flick. There's this egg that crashes into this tenement building. It bursts a spider, and this 12-year-old girl played by who's it played by? Oh my gosh, I'm losing her name right now. Alyla Browne. Her character's name is Charlotte. She takes this spider as her pet, feeds her different things, but that's not enough for this alien spider. So he gets up out of his what do you call those little vases of jelly? This glass jelly vase, and then goes wandering around the tenement, killing different people in the building, unbeknownst to others, because he's able to sneak into the apartment. Then, as the body count rises, this spider gets a little bit bigger and bigger. Heather brought this up. Little Shop of Horrors. Am I thinking that right?
It's
yes.
very Little Shop of Horrors. It's
gets
kind of
bigger
funny.
and bigger until everyone has to face this, and so they call for exterminators, and then eventually the family is threatened, and little Charlotte has to rise up against it. Again, it's a by the numbers 80s style horror film with glimpses of aliens in its inspiration. I had a fun ride with this, but also I did nod off on moments. I started doing other things, but it isn't a bad horror film. It's an entertaining horror film. It's another one of those popcorn flicks that you might stumble upon on cable TV, and you give it some time. One weird element, the biggest star in this that you'll see is, and Heather has him in your background, Jermaine Fowler. Out of nowhere. That's one of the things that really got me to watch this film is Jermaine Fowler. I loved him in The Blackening. Heather and I really enjoyed that film last year. That was last year, right, Heather?
Yeah, it was last year. Juneteenth last year. Yep.
Yes. Killed that film. Jermaine Fowler should be on your radar. Another great upcoming comedian, actor, writer. He is in some way in this film. I don't know if they filmed parts of this here or if he was across the pond. Not across, but across the ocean, because the pond is UK. But if he was over in Australia, maybe he was filming. He did this when he was doing Ricky Stenicki, because I know they filmed that film over in Australia. So I don't know. Maybe that's why he made an appearance. But it was just weird to see Jermaine Fowler in this film. But because again, most of this cast are a bunch of unknowns. But I think they did their job. It was very serviceable. It was a entertaining horror film. So the thing is, why I'm doing a lot of the bulk and heavy lifting right here is, as you know, from most of our reviews, Heather, joins me, but she had a little bit of arachnophobia with this one because of speeders. So,
Speeders, all the speeders.
what are your thoughts, Heather, or some of the thoughts that you gathered from your horror loving husband, our good pal John over there? What do you have to say about Sting?
Yeah, so my husband gave me a list of notes because I did not watch this movie. There were a couple of elements that he actually pre-warned me about, and this is kind of a trigger warning for everyone who wants to watch this movie. One, spitters. If you're not a big spitter fan, it's about a spitter. It's what it's about. But two, I'm also, as we have talked about this in the past, one of the big elements about horror movies that actually it's one of the most stressful elements that lead to people not enjoying horror is animal cruelty and animal death. And that is kind of one of the escalation elements. You don't go straight from, flies to humans. You have to go somewhere in between. It was, at least when it comes to the animal death, it was a little bit more purposeful. It wasn't just to kill an animal and stress you out. But there is animal death in here. So there's a big trigger warning. If you are one of those horror fans like me who would just rather not see animal cruelty or animal death kind of mixed in with your horror, this one is just not for you. It's just not, because it's part of, unless you're okay with something, once again, a little bit more, it's purposeful. It's not just done because you need to kill a cat. So there's that. But my husband is a huge, actually I love 80s critter features. Like, I love them. Lots of critter elements. He said there's some elements from T2 in here. So this movie actually has like all of the makings of a horror film I would love if you just removed the spider element. The very first thing, though, he said is leave it to Screen Australia to make a movie about a giant spider. And you know what, Australia, take what you know best.
Yeah.
So it's he enjoyed it. He is a big 80s horror fan. He's an 80s kid, so he's a big 80s horror fan. So this had a lot of elements that he really, really liked. Was it his favorite horror movie of the year? Absolutely not. There's lots of other things. He did like the alien shout outs though. And he had fun with it. And I think that's one of the important things, is that we have to remember, even if a horror film is a horror film, we should still enjoy it from a personal level. If it's something that stresses you out too much, if it's something that it just gets under your skin way too much, or it's something you just straight up can't enjoy because it's just too real, then that's not a good horror film. A horror film should be something that you can kind of escape into, even if it scares the living bejeebers out of you. So.
Yeah. Definitely. Good points there. Shout out to John, who braved your arachnophobia for you. That's awesome. That also reminded me, I want to give some more positive kudos to this film in regards to its shots. And also let's give a shout to his poster campaign that I have behind me. I love this. Great way to promote this film that deals with spiders. I love the imagery, the way the layout is and everything on the graphic design. The opening credits, when the spider crashes, or the egg crashes and then it hatches out of its shell, the spider goes into this dollhouse, which also is kind of like it's like one of those like Barbie mansions, right? Those big dollar Barbie mansions. And it's kind of in tone to this film where it goes on to different levels within this tenement, this apartment building that you see it. So you kind of see kind of like this big spider, but it's really in the small spider form going through this dollhouse. So they kind of take you through the title credits with that, of it going through the film. So it kind of, an interesting kind of like a throwback to how they used to film movies back in the day through practical effects. Now they can make large spiders, but there they used to make models, and you take that like small spider and you take it through that, so it kind of looks bigger than it really is. I thought that was really cool and very artsy, and a nod to old school filmmaking, practical effects. But yeah, the shot selection was really cool. So I think that's what carried me through a lot of this film, because it's, again, very paint by the numbers horror film, 80s vibes. But I think they showed a lot of love to what we grew up with. Weird cameo from Jermaine Fowler. He has a weird opener and ender. I think they could have done more with the character to just add some comedic elements to it, but then that would make it more of a horror comedy. But it was interesting. He had a very weird character. He was kind of like out of nowhere. I didn't quite understand it. And it's supposed to take place in New York, but then it's weird in certain elements. There's like a Russian family that's leading the house. It's weird, and I guess they wanted to have the comeuppance of some of the first victims and kill Russians. I don't know. That was weird. Let me not give away too many other notes in this, but again, it was a fun ride. Not the greatest movie I saw this year, greatest horror movie I've seen this year, but very serviceable. If it's streaming, check it out. But shout out to Well Go USA. They've been bringing a lot of gems here to the US from across the band, a lot of Korean films, which I love. But they're also doing a lot of stuff from Australia. So expanding out, bringing film to the masses. I love that. Because we definitely export as Americans our films out. I want to see what they're doing over there as well. And shout out to Welgo. This was a cool little film. So there you go. Let's get away from the speeders. I know Heather's not about it. I know she has that arachnophobia, but shout out to John to help participate in this review. Sting, Welgo US Entertainment in select theaters, and I believe also now going to be available digital on demand as well from Welgo. Those are our thoughts. Let's talk spiders in the comments. Don't post anything scary or spiders that Heather might fear, so that way she can engage as well. There you go, y'all. Our feelings. Nerds rule the world on Sting. Let us know what you think in the comments below.